Ineluctable modality of the visible, at least that of no more. Thought through my eyes. Signatures of all things I am here to read, sea spawn and sea wrack, the nearing tide, that rusty boot, snot green, blue silver, rust, coloured signs. Limits of the diaphane, but, he adds, in bodies. Then he was aware of them, bodies, before, of them coloured. How? By knocking his sconce against them, sure. Go easy. Baldy was, and a millionaire. Maestro de color che sano. Limit of the diaphane, in. Why in? Diaphane, adiaphane. If you can put your 5 fingers through it, it is a gate. If not, a door. Shut your eyes and see. Stephen closed his eyes to hear his boots crush crackling wrack and shells. You are walking through it, howsomever. I am, a stride at a time, a very short space of time through very short times of space. 5, 6, the nachainander. Exactly, and that is the ineluctable modality of the audible. Open your eyes. No, Jesus, if I fell over a cliff that Beatles o'er his base fell through, the nachainander ineluctably. I'm getting on nicely in the dark. My ash sword hangs at my side. Tap with it. They do. My 2 feet in his boots are at the end of his legs. Nachainander. Sounds solid. Made by the mallet of Los de Murgos. Am I walking into eternity along Sandy Mount Strand? Crush, crack, crick, crick. Wild sea money. Dominic Deasy kens them won't you come to Sandy Mount, Magdalene the Mare? Rhythm begins, you see. I hear a catalectic tetrameter of iambs marching. No, a gallop, Deline the Mare. Open your eyes now. I will. One moment. Has all vanished since? If I open, and am forever in the black adiaphane, basta, I will see if I can see. See now. There all the time without you, and ever shall be, world without end. They came down the steps from Leahy's terrace prudently, Frauenzimmer, and down the shelving shore flabbily, their splayed feet sinking in the silted sand. Like me, like Algy, coming down to our mighty mother. Number 1 swung luridly, her midwife's bag. The other's gamp poked in the beach. From the Liberties, out for the day. Mrs. Florence McCabe, relict of the late Patrick McCabe, deeply lamented, of Bride Street. One of her sisterhood lugged me squealing into life. Creation from nothing. What has she in the bag? A Miss Berth with the trailing navel cord, hushed in ruddy wool. The cords of all link back strand entwining cable of all flesh. That is why mystic monks, will you be as gods? Gaze in your omphalos. Hello, Kinch here. Put me on to Edenville. Aleph Alpha, not 1. Spouse and helpmate of Adam Cadman. Heva, naked Eve. She has no navel. Gaze. Belly without blemish, bulging, big, a buckler of taut vellum. No, white-heaped corn, orient and immortal, standing from everlasting to everlasting. Womb of sin. Wombed in sin, darkness I was too. Made, not begotten. By them, the man with my voice and my eyes, and a ghost woman with ashes on her breath. They clasped and sundered, did the coupler's will. From before the ages he willed me, and now may not will me away, or ever. A lex eterna stays about him. Is that then the divine substance wherein Father and Son are consubstantial? Where is poor dear Arius to try conclusions, warring his life long on the contrans magnificans jubanctiality? Ill-starred heresiarch. In a Greek water closet he breathed his last. Euthanasia. With beaded mitre and with crozier, stalled upon his throne, widower of a widowed sea, with upstiffed omophorion, with clotted hinder parts. Airs romped around him, nipping and eager airs. They are coming, waves. The white-maned seahorses, champing, bright wind-bridled, the steeds of Mannanon. I mustn't forget his letter for the press. And after, the ship, 12:30. By the way, go easy with that money like a good young imbecile. Yes, I must. His pace slackened. Here, am I going to Aunt Sarah's or not? My consubstantial father's voice. Did you see anything of your artist brother Stephen lately? No? Sure he's not down in Strasbourg Terrace with his Aunt Sally. Couldn't he fly a bit higher than that, eh? And tell us, Stephen, how was Uncle Si? Oh, weeping gods, the things I married into. The boys up in the hayloft. The drunk little coster and his brother, the cornet player. Highly respectable gondoliers. And skew-eyed Walter, sirring his father no less. Sir, yes, sir, no, sir. Jesus wept. And no wonder, by Christ. I pull the wheezy bell of their shuttered cottage, and wait. They take me for a dun, peer out from a coign of vantage. It's Stephen, sir. Let him in, let Stephen in. A bolt drawn back, and Walter welcomes me. We thought you were someone else. In his broad bed, Nuncle Richie, pillowed and blanketed, extends over the hillock of his knees a sturdy forearm. Clean-chested, he has washed the upper moiety. Morrow, nephew. He lays aside the lapboard, whereon he drafts his bills of costs for the eyes of Master Goff and Master Chaplain Tandy, filing consents and common searches, and a writ of duces tecum. A bog-oak frame over his bald head. Wilde's Requiescat. The drone of his misleading whistle brings Walter back. Yes, sir? Malt for Richie and Stephen, tell mother. Where is she? Bathing Chrissy, sir. Papa's little bed pal. Lump of love. No, Uncle Richie. Call me Richie. Damn your Lydia water. It lowers. Whiskey. Uncle Richie, really. Sit down now, by the Lord Harry, I'll knock you down. Walter squints vainly for a chair. He's nothing to sit down on, sir. He has nowhere to put it, you mug. Bring in our Chippendale chair. Would you like a bite of something? None of your damned loaded-o air here. The rich of a rasher fried with the herring. Sure? So much the better. We've nothing in the house but backache pills. Alerta! He drones bars of Ferrando's Aria di Sortita. The grandest number, Stephen, in the whole opera. Listen. His tuneful whistle sounds again, finely shaded, with rushes of the air, his fists big drumming on his padded knees. The wind is sweeter. Houses of decay, mine, his, and all. You told the Clongowes gentry you had an uncle a judge, and an uncle a general in the army. Come out of them, Stephen. Beauty is not there. Nor in the stagnant bay of Marsh's library, where you read the fading prophecies of Joachim Abbas. For whom? The 100-headed rabble of the cathedral close. A hater of his kind ran from them to the wood of madness, his mane foaming in the moon, his eyeballs stars. Horse-nostrilled. The oval equine faces, Temple, Buck Mulligan, Foxy Campbell, Lantern Jaws. Abbas' father, Furious Dean, what offence laid fire to their brains? Puff! Descende calve ut ne nimium de calvaris. A garland of grey hair on his comminated head, see him, me, clambering down to the footpace, descende, clutching a monstrance, basilisk-eyed. Get down, bald Paul. A choir gives back menace and echo, assisting about the altar's horns, the snorted Latin of jack priests, moving burly in their albs, tonsured and oiled and gelded, fat with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And at the same instant, perhaps, a priest round the corner is elevating it. Dring-dring, and 2 streets off another locking it into a pyx, dring-a-dring, and in a lady chapel another taking housel all to his own cheek, dring-dring, down, up, forward, back. Dan Ockham thought of that, invincible doctor. A misty English morning, the imp hypostasis tickled his brain. Bringing his host down, and kneeling, he heard twine with the second bell, the first bell in the transept. He is lifting his, and rising heard, now I am lifting, their 2 bells. He is kneeling, twang in diphthong. Cousin Stephen, you'll never be a saint. Isle of Saints. You were awful holy, weren't you? You prayed to the Blessed Virgin that you might not have a red nose. You prayed to the devil in Serpentine Avenue that the fubsy widow in front might lift her clothes still more from the wet street. Oh, si certo. Sell your soul for that, do. Dyed rags pinned round a squaw. More. Tell me more still. On the top of the Howth tram, alone, crying to the rain, naked women. What about that, eh? What about what? What else were they invented for? Reading 2 pages apiece of 7 books every night, eh? I was young. You bowed to yourself in the mirror, stepping forward to applause earnestly, striking face. Hooray for the goddamned idiot! Hooray! No one saw. Tell no one. Books you were going to write with letters for titles. Have you read his F? Oh, yes, but I prefer Q. Yes, but W is wonderful. Oh, yes, W. Remember your epiphanies on green oval leaves, deeply deep, copies to be sent if you died to all the great libraries of the world, including Alexandria. Someone was to read them there after a few thousand years. A Mohammed Vantara, Pico della Mirandola like, aye, very like a whale. When one reads these strange pages of one long gone, one feels that one is at one with one who once... The grainy sand had gone from under his feet. His boots trod again a damp, crackling mast. Razor shells, squeaking pebbles, that on the unnumbered pebbles beats, wood sieved by the shipworm, lost armada. Unwholesome sandflats waited to suck his treading soles, breathing upward sewage breath. He coasted them, walking warily. A porter bottle stood up, stogged to its waist in the cakey sand dough. A sentinel, isle of dreadful thirst. Broken hoops on the shore. At the land, a maze of dark, cunning nets. Farther away, chalk-scrawled back doors, and on the higher beach a drying line with 2 crucified shirts. Ring's End, wigwams of brown steersmen and master mariners, human shells. He halted. I've passed the way to Aunt Sarah's. Am I not going there? Seems not. No one about. He turned northeast and crossed the firmer sand towards the pigeon house. Qui vous a mis dans cette fichue position? C'est le pigeon, Joseph. Patrice, home on furlough, lapped warm milk with me in the bar MacMahon. Son of the wild goose, Kevin Egan of Paris. My father's a bird. He lapped the sweet lait chaud with pink young tongue, plump bunny's face, lap, lapin. He hopes to win in the Grow Low. About the nature of women he read in Michelet. But he must send me La Vie de Jésus by Emily O'Taxel. Lent it to his friend. C'est tordant, vous savez. Moi, je suis socialiste. Je ne crois pas en l'existence de Dieu. Faut pas le dire à mon père. Il croit? Mon père, oui. Schluss. He laps. My Latin Quarter hat. God, we simply must dress the character. I want puce gloves. You were a student, weren't you? What in the other devil's name? PCN, PCN, you know, physique, chimique et naturelle. Aha! Eating your groat's worth of mouan civet, flesh pots of Egypt, elbowed by Belgian cabmen. Just say in the most natural tone, when I was in Paris, boule mich, I used to carry punch tickets to prove an alibi if they arrested you for murder somewhere. Justice. On the night of the 17th of February, 1904, the prisoner was seen by 2 witnesses. Other fella did it, other me, hat, tie, overcoat, nose. Louis, c'est moi. You seem to have enjoyed yourself. Proudly walking. Whom were you trying to walk like? Forget. A dispossessed. With mother's money order, 8 shillings, the banging door of the post office slammed in your face by the usher. Hunger, toothache. Encore 10 minutes. Look, clock, must get. Fermé. Hired dog. Shoot him to bloody bits with a bang shotgun. Bits man, splattered walls, all brass buttons. Bits all crack-lack in place. Clack back. Not hurt? Oh, that's all right. Shake hands. See what I mean? See? Oh, that's all right. Shake a shake. Oh, that's only all right. You were going to do wonders, what? Missionary to Europe after fiery Columbanus, Fiacre and Scotus on their creepy stools in heaven, spilt from their pint pots, loud Latin laughing, you gay, pretending to speak broken English as you dragged your valise, porter threepence, across the slimy pier at New Haven. Come on. Rich booty you brought back, le tutu, 5 tattered numbers of pantalon blanc et culotte rouge, a blue French telegram, curiosity to show. Mother dying, come home, father. The aunt thinks you killed your mother. That's why she won't. Then here's a health to Mulligan's aunt, and I'll tell you the reason why. She always kept things decent in the Hannigan family. His feet marched in sudden proud rhythm over the sand furrows, along by the boulders of the south wall. He stared at them proudly, piled stone, mammoth skulls. Gold light on sea, on sand, on boulders. The sun is there, the slender trees, the lemon houses. Paris, rawly waking, crude sunlight on her lemon streets, moist pith of farls of bread, the frog-green wormwood, her matin incense, court the air. Belluomo rises from the bed of his wife's lover's wife. The kerchiefed housewife is astir, a saucer of acetic acid in her hands. In Rodot's, Yvonne and Madeleine new make their tumble beauties, shattering with gold teeth chaussons of pastry, their mouths yellowed with the pousse of flan breton. Faces of Paris men go by, their well-pleased pleasers, curled conquistadors. Noon slumbers. Kevin Egan rolls gunpowder cigarettes through fingers smeared with printer's ink, sipping his green fairy as Patrice is white. About us, gobblers fork spiced beans down their guts. Un demi-setier! A jet of coffee steam from the burnished cauldron. She serves me at his beck. Il est Irlandais. Hollandais? Non, fromage. Des Irlandais, nous. Irlande, vous savez? Ah, oui. She thought you wanted a cheese hollandaise. You're postprandial. Do you know that word? Postprandial. There was a fellow I knew once in Barcelona, a queer fellow, used to call it his postprandial. Well, slauncher. Around the slab tables, the tangle of wine breaths and grumbling gorges. His breath hangs over our sauce-stained plates, the green fairy's fang thrusting between his lips. Of Ireland, the Dalcassians, of hopes, conspiracies, of Arthur Griffith now. To yoke me as his yoke-fellow, our crimes, our common cause, you're your father's son. I know the voice. His fustian shirt, sanguine-flowered, trembles its Spanish tassels at his secrets. Monsieur Drummond, famous journalist, Drummond. Know what he called Queen Victoria? Old hag with the yellow teeth. Vieille ogresse with the dents jaunes. Maud Gone, beautiful woman. La Patrie. Monsieur Millevoye, Felix Faure. Know how he died? Licentious men. The Fröken, bonne et tout faire, who rubs male nakedness on the baths at Uppsala. Moi faire, she said. To le monsieur. Not this monsieur, I said. Most licentious custom. Bath a most private thing. I wouldn't let my brother, not even my own brother, most lascivious thing. Green eyes, I see you. Fang, I feel. Lascivious people. The blue fuse burns deadly between hands and burns clear. Loose tobacco shreds catch fire. A flame and acrid smoke light our corner. Raw face bones under his peep of day-boy's hat. How the head centre got away, authentic version. Got up as a young bride, man, veil, orange blossoms, drove out the road to Malahide. Did faith. Of lost leaders, the betrayed, wild escapes, disguises, clutched at, gone. Not here. Spurned lover. I was a strapping young gossoon at that time, I tell you. I'll show you my likeness one day. I was faith, lover for her love. He prowled with Colonel Richard Burke, tannest of his sept, under the walls of Clerkenwell, and crouching saw a flame of vengeance hurl them upward in the fog. Shattered glass and toppling masonry. In gay Paris he hides, Egan of Paris, unsought by any save by me. Making his day's stations, the dingy printing case, his 3 taverns, the Montmartre lair he sleeps short nights in, Rue de la Goutte d'Or, damascened with fly-blown faces of the gone. Loveless, landless, wifeless. She is quite nicely comfy with her outcast man, Madame, in Rue Gilles-le-Cour, canary and 2 booked lodgers. Peachy cheeks, a zebra skirt, frisky as a young thing's, spurned and undespairing. Tell Pat you saw me, won't you? I wanted to get poor Pat a job one time. Mon fils, soldier of France. I taught him to sing. The boys of Kilkenny are stout roaring blades. Know that old lay? I taught Patrice that. Old Kilkenny, St. Canice, Strongbow's Castle on the Nore. Goes like this. Oh, oh. He takes me Nappertandy by the hand. Oh, oh, the boys of Kilkenny. Weak, wasting hand on mine. They have forgotten Kevin Egan. Not he them. Remembering thee, O Sion. He had come nearer the edge of the sea, and wet sand slapped his boots. The new air greeted him, harping in wild nerves, wind of wild air of seeds of brightness. Here, I am not walking out to the Kish lightship, am I? He stood suddenly, his feet beginning to sink slowly in the quaking soil. Turn back. Turning, he scanned the shore south, his feet sinking again slowly in new sockets. The cold domed room of the tower waits. Through the barbicans the shafts of light are moving ever, slowly ever, as my feet are sinking, creeping duskward over the dial floor. Blue dusk, nightfall, deep blue night. In the darkness of the dome they wait, their push-back chairs, my obelisk valise, around a board of abandoned platters. Who to clear it? He has the key. I will not sleep there when this night comes. A shut door of a silent tower entombing their blind bodies, the Panther Sahib and his pointer. Call? No answer. He lifted his feet up from the suck and turned back by the mole of boulders. Take all, keep all. My soul walks with me, form of forms. So in the moon's mid-watches I pace the path above the rocks, in sable silvered, hearing Elsinore's tempting flood. The flood is following me. I can watch it flow past from here. Get back then by the Poolbeg Road to the strand there. He climbed over the sedge and eely oarweeds and sat on a stool of rock, resting his ash plant in a grike. A bloated carcass of a dog lay lolled on bladder rack. Before him the gunwale of a boat sunk in sand. On coche en sable, Louis Veillot called Gautier's prose. These heavy sands are language, tide and wind have silted here, and there the stone heaps of dead builders, a warren of weasel rats, hide gold there. Try it, you have some. Sands and stones, heavy of the past. Sir Lout's toys. Mind you not get one bang in the ear. I'm a bloody well gigant, rolls all them bloody well boulders, bones for my stepping stones. Fee, faw, fum, I smells the bloods of the Iridsman. A point, live dog, grew into sight, running across the sweep of sand. Lord, is he going to attack me? Respect his liberty. You will not be master of others, or their slave. I have my stick. Sit tight. From farther away, walking shoreward across the crested tide, figures. Two. The two Marys. They've tucked it safe among the bulrushes. Peekaboo, I see you. No, the dog. He's running back to them. Who? Galleys of the Lachlan's ran here to beach, in quest of prey, their blood-beaked prows riding low in a molten pewter surf. Dane Vikings, talks of tomahawks that glitter on their breasts when Malachy wore the colour of gold. A school of turtle-eyed whales stranded in hot noon, spouting, hobbling in the shallows. Then from the starving cage-work city a horde of jerkin dwarfs, my people, with flares' knives, running, scaling, hacking in green blubbery whale meat. Famine, plague, and slaughters, their blood is in me, their lusts my waves. I moved among them on the frozen Liffey, that I, a changeling, among the spluttering resin fires. I spoke to no one, none to me. The dog's bark ran towards him, stopped, ran back. Dog of my enemy. I just simply stood pale, silent, bayed about. Terribilia meditans. A primrose doublet, fortune's knave, smiled on my fear. For that are you pining, the bark of their applause? Pretenders, live their lives. The Bruce's brother, Thomas Fitzgerald, Silkton Knight, Perkin Warbeck, York's false scion in breeches of silk of white rose ivory, wonder of a day, and Lambert Simnel with the tale of Nans and Sutlers, a scullion crowned, all king's sons. Paradise of pretenders, then and now. He saved men from drowning, and you shake at a cur's yelping? But the courtiers who mocked Guido in Orsan Michele were in their own house of, we don't want any of your medieval abstrusiosities. Would you do what he did? A boat would be near, a lifeboat. Natuurlijk, put there for you. Would you or would you not? The man that was drowned 9 days ago off Maiden's Rock. They're waiting for him now. The truth, spit it out. I would want to. I would try. I'm not a strong swimmer. Water cold, soft. When I put my face into it in the basin at Clongowes. Can't see. Who's behind me? Out, quickly, quickly. Do you see the tide flowing quickly in on all sides, sheeting the lows of sands quickly, shell cocoa-coloured? If I had land under my feet, I want his life still to be his, mine to be mine. A drowning man. His human eyes scream to me out of horror of his death. I, with him, together, down. I could not save her. Waters, bitter death. Lost. A woman and a man. I see her skirties, pinned up, I bet. Their dog ambled about a bank of dwindling sand, trotting, sniffing on all sides, looking for something lost in a past life. Suddenly he made off like a bounding hare, ears flung back, chasing the shadow of a low-skimming gull. The man's shrieked whistle struck his limp ears. He turned, bounded back, came nearer, trotted on twinkling shanks. On a field tenny a buck trippant, proper, unattired. At the lace fringe of the tide he halted with stiff forehoofs, seaward-pointed ears. His snout lifted, barked at the wave noise, herds of sea morse. They serpented towards his feet, curling, unfurling many crests, every ninth breaking, plashing, from farther out, waves and waves. Cockle-pickers. They waded a little way in the water, and stooping, soused their bags, and lifting them again, waded out. The dog yelped, running to them, reared up and pawed them, dropping on all fours, again reared up at them with mute bearish fawning. Unheeded, he kept by them as they came towards the drier sand, a rag of wolf's tongue red panting from his jaws. His speckled body ambled ahead of them, and then loped off at a calf's gallop. The carcass lay on his path. He stopped, sniffed, stalked round it. Brother. Nosing closer, went round it, sniffing rapidly like a dog all over the dead dog's bedraggled fell. Dog skull, dog sniff. Eyes on the ground, moves to one great goal. Ah, poor dog's body. Here lies poor dog's body's body. "Tatters! Out at that, you mongrel!" The cry brought him skulking back to his master, and a blunt, bootless kick sent him unscathed across a spit of sand, crouched in flight. He slunk back in a curve. Doesn't see me. Along by the edge of the mole he lolloped, dawdled, smelt a rock, and from under a cocked hind leg pissed against it. He trotted forward, and lifting his hind leg, pissed quick, short, at an unsmelt rock. The simple pleasures of the poor. His hind paws then scattered sand, then his forepaws dabbled and delved, something he buried there. His grandmother. He rooted in the sand, dabbling, delving, and stopped to listen to the air, scraped up the sand again with the fury of his claws, soon ceasing. A pard, a panther, got in spow's breach, vulturing the dead. After he woke me up last night, same dream, or was it? Wait. Open hallway, street of Harlots. Remember, Harun al-Rashid. I'm almosting it. That man led me, spoke. I was not afraid. The melon he held against my face, smiled, cream fruit smell. That was the rule said. In, come, red carpet spread, you will see who. Shouldering their bags, they trudged, the red Egyptians. His blued feet out of turned-up trousers slapped the clammy sand, a dull brick muffler strangling his unshaven neck. With woman steps she followed, the ruffian and his strolling mort. Spoils slung at her back, loose sand and shell grit crusted her bare feet. About her wind-draw face her hair trailed. Behind her lord, his helpmate, being a wast to Romeville. When night hides her body's flaws, calling under her brown shawl from an archway where dogs have mired. Her fancy man is treating 2 Royal Dublins in O'Loughlin's of Blackpits. Buss her, whop in rogue's rum lingo, for oh my dimber whopping dell. A she-fiend's whiteness under her rancid rags. Fumbly's Lane that night, the tan-yard smells. White thy fambles, red thy gan, and thy quarrons dainty is. Couch a hogshead with me then, in the dark man's clip and kiss. Morose delectations Aquinas Tunbelly calls this. Frate porcus pino. Unfallen Adam rode, and not rutted. Call away, let him, thy quarrons dainty is. Language, no whit worse than his. Monk words, merry beads jabber on their girdles, rogue words, tough nuggets patter in their pockets. Passing now. A side eye at my Hamlet hat. If I were suddenly naked here as I sit, I am not. Across the sands of all the world, followed by the sun's flaming sword to the west, trekking to evening lands. She trudges, schleps, trains, drags, tracines her load. A tide westering, moon-drawn in her wake, tides myriad-islanded within her, blood not mine, Oinopa ponton, a wine-dark sea. Behold the handmaid of the moon. In sleep the wet sign calls her hour, bids her rise, bride-bed, child-bed, bed of death, ghost-candled. Omnis caro ate veniet. He comes, pale vampire, through storm his eyes, his bat sails bloodying the sea. Mouth to her mouth's kiss. Here, put a pin in that chap, will you? My tablets, mouth to her kiss. No, must be 2 of them. Glue 'em well, mouth to her mouth's kiss. His lips lipped and mouthed, fleshless lips of air. mouth to her womb, all wombing tomb, his mouth moulded issuing breath, unspeeched. Roar of cataractic planets, globed, blazing, roaring, way. Paper! The banknotes, blast them! Old DC's letter, here, thanking you for your hospitality, tear the blank end off. Turning his back to the sun, he bent over far to a table of rock and scribbled words. That's twice I forgot to take slips from the library counter. His shadow lay over the rocks as he bent, ending. Why not endless till the farthest star? Darkly they are there behind this light, darkness shining in the brightness, delta of Cassiopeia, worlds. Me sits there with his augur's rod of ash in borrowed sandals, by day beside a livid sea, unbeheld, in violet night walking beneath a rain of uncouth stars. I throw this ended shadow from me, man-shape, ineluctable, call it back. Endless would it be mine, form of my form. Who watches me here? Who ever anywhere will read these written words? Signs on a white field. Somewhere to someone, in your flutiest voice, the good Bishop of Cloyne took the veil of the temple out of his shovel hat, veil of space with coloured emblems hatched on its field. Hold hard. Coloured on a flat. Yes, that's right. Flat, I see. Then think distance, near, far, flat. I see. East, back. Ah, see now. Folds back suddenly, frozen in stereoscope. Click does the trick. You find my words dark. Darkness is in our souls, do you not think? Flutia, our souls, shame-wounded by our sins, cling to us yet more, a woman to her lover clinging, the more, the more. She trusts me, her hand gentle, the long-lashed eyes. Now where the blue hell am I bringing her beyond the veil? Into the ineluctable modality of the ineluctable visuality. She. What she? The Virgin at Hodges Figure's window on Monday, looking in for one of the alphabet books you were going to write. Keen glance she gave her, wrist through the braided jess of her sunshade. She lives in Leeson Park with the grief and kickshaws, a lady of letters. Talk that to someone else, Stevie. Pick me up. Bet she wears those curse of God stays suspenders and yellow stockings darned with lumpy wool. Talk about apple dumplings, Pew Tosto. Where are your wits? Touch me. Soft eyes, soft hand. I am lonely here. Oh, touch me soon, now. What is that word known to all men? I am quiet here alone, sad too. Touch me. He lay back at full stretch over the sharp rocks, cramming the scribbled note and pencil into a pocket, his hat tilted down on his eyes. That's Kevin Egan's movement I made, nodding for his nap. Sabbath, sleep. Et vidit Deus, et erant valde bona. Hallo, bonjour, welcome, Mr. Flowers and May. Under its leaf he watched through peacock twittering lashes, the southing sun. I am caught in this burning scene, Pan's hour, the faunal noon, among gum-heavy serpent plants, milk-oozing fruits, where on the tawny waters leaves lie wide. Pain is far, and no more turn aside and brood. His gaze brooded on his broad-toed boots, a buck's cast-offs, nebeneinander. He counted the creases of rucked leather wherein another's foot had nested warm, the foot that beat the ground in tripudium, foot I dislove. But you were delighted when Esther Oswald's shoe went on you, girl I knew in Paris. Tiens, quel petit pied. Staunch friend, a brother soul, Wilde's love that dare not speak its name. He now will leave me, and the blame, as I am, all or not at all. In long lassos from the Cock Lake, the water flowed full, covering green goldenly lagoons of sand, rising, flowing. My ash plant will float away. I shall wait. No, they will pass on, passing, chafing against the low rocks, swirling, passing. Better get this job over quick. Listen, a four-worded wave speech. Sisu, ris, risiais, oos. Vehement breath of waters, amid sea snakes, rearing horses, rocks. In cups of rocks it slops, flop, slop, slap, bounded in barrels, and spent its speech ceases. It flows, purling, widely flowing, floating foam pool, flower unfurling. Under the upswelling tide, he saw the writhing weeds lift languidly and sway reluctant arms, hissing up their petticoats in whispering water, swaying and upturning coy silver fronds. Day by day, night by night, lifted, flooded, and let fall. Lord, they are weary, and whisper too, they sigh. St. Ambrose heard it, sigh of leaves and waves, waiting, awaiting the fullness of their times. Diebus ac noctibus injurias patiens ingemiscit. To no end gathered, vainly then released, forth flowing, wending back, loom of the moon, weary too in sight of lovers, lascivious men, and naked woman shining in her courts, she draws a toil of waters. 5 fathoms out there, full fathom 5 thy father lies. At 1, he said. Found drowned, high water at Dublin Bar, driving before it a loose drift of rubble, fan shoals of fishes, silly shells, a corpse rising salt-white from the undertow, bobbing landward, a pace, a porpoise. There he is, hook it quick, sunk though he be beneath the watery floor. We have him, easy now. Bag of corpse gas, sopping in foul brine. A quiver of minnows, fat of a spongy titbit, flashed through the slits of his button trouser fly. God becomes man, becomes fish, becomes barnacle goose, becomes feather bed mountain. Dead breaths I living breathe, tread dead dust, devour a urinous offal from all dead. Hauled stark over the gunwale, he breathes upward the stench of his green grave, his leprous nose-hole snoring to the sun. A sea change this, brown eyes salt blue, sea death, mildest of all deaths known to man. Old Father Ocean, Prix de Paris. Beware of imitations, just give it a fair trial. We enjoyed ourselves immensely. Come, I thirst. Clouding over. No black clouds anywhere, are there? Thunderstorms. All bright he falls, proud lightning of the intellect. Lucifer dico, qui nescit occasum. No, my cockle hat and staff, and his my sandal shoon. Where? To evening lands. Evening will find itself. He took the hilt of his ash plant, lunging with it softly, dallying still. Yes, evening will find itself in me, without me. All days make their end. By the way, next, when is it? Tuesday will be the longest day. Of all the glad New Year, mother, the rum-tum tiddly-tum, Lorne Tennyson, gentleman poet, ja! For the old hag with the yellow teeth, and Monsieur Drumont, gentleman journalist, ja! My teeth are very bad. Why, I wonder? Feel. That one is going too. Shells. Ought I go to a dentist, I wonder, with that money? That one. Toothless Kinch, the Superman. Why is that, I wonder? Or does it mean something, perhaps? My handkerchief. He threw it, I remember. Did I not take it up? His hand groped vainly in his pockets. No, I didn't. Better buy one. He laid the dry snot, picked from his nostril, on a ledge of rock, carefully. For the rest, let look who will. Behind, perhaps there is someone. He turned his face over his shoulder, rear-regardant. Moving through the air, high spars of a three-master, her sails brailed up on the cross-trees, homing, upstream, silently moving. A silent ship. Mr. Leopold Bloom ate with relish the inner organs of beasts and fowls. He liked thick giblet soup, nutty gizzards, a stuffed roast heart, liver slices fried with crust crumbs, fried hen cod's roes. Most of all, he liked grilled mutton kidneys, which gave to his palate a fine tang of faintly scented urine. Kidneys were in his mind, as he moved about the kitchen softly, writing her breakfast things on the humpy tray. Gelid light and air were in the kitchen, but out of doors, gentle summer morning everywhere. Made him feel a bit peckish. The coals were reddening. Another slice of bread and butter. 3, 4. Right. She didn't like her plate full. Right. He turned from the tray, lifted the kettle off the hob, and set it sideways on the fire. It sat there, dull and squat, its spout stuck out. Cup of tea soon. Good. Mouth dry. The cat walked stiffly round a leg of the table, with tail on high. Meow. Oh, there you are, Mr. Bloom said, turning from the fire. The cat mewed in answer, and stalked again stiffly round a leg of the table, mewing. Just how she stalks over my writing table. Brrr. Scratch my head. Brrr. Mr. Bloom watched curiously, kindly, the lithe black form. Clean to see. The gloss of her sleek hide, the white button under the butt of her tail, the green flashing eyes. He bent down to her, his hands on his knees. "Milk for the pussins?" he said. "Meow," the cat cried. They call them stupid. They understand what we say better than we understand them. She understands all she wants to. Vindictive, too. Wonder what I look like to her. Height of a tower? No, she can jump me. Afraid of the chickens she is, he said mockingly. Afraid of the chook-chooks. I never saw such a stupid pussins as the pussins. Cruel. Her nature. Curious, mice never squeal. Seem to like it. Meow, the cat said loudly. She blinked up out of her avid shame-closing eyes, mewing plaintively and long, showing him her milk-white teeth. He watched the dark eye-slits narrowing with greed till her eyes were green stones. Then he went to the dresser, took the jug Hanlon's milkman had just filled for him, poured warm bubble milk on a saucer, and set it slowly on the floor. "Grrr," she cried, running to lap. He watched the bristles shining wirily in the weak light, as she tipped 3 times and licked lightly. Wonder is it true if you clip them they can't mouse after? Why? They shine in the dark, perhaps, the tips. Or kind of feelers in the dark, perhaps. He listened to her licking lap. Ham and eggs? No. No good eggs with this drought. Want pure fresh water. Thursday, not a good day either for a mutton kidney at Buckley's, fried with butter, a shake of pepper. Better a pork kidney at Lugas's, while the kettle is boiling. She lapped slower, then licking the saucer clean. Why are their tongues so rough? To lap better, all porous holes. Nothing she can eat? He glanced round him. No. On quietly creaky boots, he went up the staircase to the hall, paused by the bedroom door. She might like something tasty. Thin bread and butter she likes in the morning. Still, perhaps, once in a way. He said softly in the bare hall, "I'm going round the corner. Be back in a minute." And when he had heard his voice say it, he added, "You don't want anything for breakfast?" A sleepy, soft grunt answered. No, she did not want anything. He heard then a warm, heavy sigh, softer, as she turned over, and the loose brass quoits of the bedstead jingled. Must get those settled, really. Pity, all the way from Gibraltar. Forgotten any little Spanish she knew. Wonder what her father gave for it. Old style. Ah, yes, of course. Bought it at the governor's auction. Got a short knock. Hard as nails at a bargain, old Tweedy. Yes, sir, at Plevna that was. I rose from the ranks, sir, and I'm proud of it. Still, he had brains enough to make that corner in stamps. Now that was far-seeing. His hand took his hat from the peg over his initialed heavy overcoat and his lost property office second-hand waterproof. Stamps. Sticky-back pictures. Dare say lots of officers are in the swim, too. Course they do. The sweated legend in the crown of his hat told him mutely, Plasto's high-grade ha. He peered quickly inside the leather headband. White slip of paper. Quite safe. On the doorstep, He felt in his hip pocket for the latchkey. Not there. And the trousers I left off. Must get it. Potato I have. Creaky wardrobe. No use disturbing her. She turned over sleepily that time. He pulled the hall door to after him, very quietly. More, till the foot-leaf dropped gently over the threshold. A limp lid. Looked shut. All right till I come back anyhow. He crossed to the bright side, avoiding the loose cellar flap of number 75. The sun was nearing the steeple of George's church. Be a warm day, I fancy. Especially in these black clothes. Feel it more. Black conducts, refracts is it? The heat? But I couldn't go in that light suit, make a picnic of it. His eyelids sank quietly often as he walked in happy warmth. Boland's bread van delivering with trays are daily, but she prefers yesterday's loaves, turnovers, crisp crowns hot. Makes you feel young. Somewhere in the east, early morning, set off at dawn, travel round in front of the sun, steal a day's march on him. Keep it up forever, never grow a day older, technically. Walk along a strand, strange land, come to a city gate, sentry there, old ranker too, old Tweedy's big moustaches leaning on a long kind of a spear. Wander through awned streets, turbaned faces going by, dark caves of carpet shops, big man, Turco the Terrible, seated cross-legged, smoking a coil pipe, cries of sellers in the street, drink water scented with fennel, sherbet, wander along all day. Might meet a robber or two. Well, meet him. Getting on to sundown. The shadows of the mosques along the pillars, priest with a scroll rolled up, a shiver of the trees, signal the evening wind. I pass on. Fading gold sky. A mother watches from her doorway. She calls her children home in their dark language. High wall, beyond strings twanged. Night sky moon violet. Colour of Molly's new garters. Strings. Listen. A girl playing one of these instruments. What do you call them? Dulcimers. I pass. Probably not a bit like it, really. Kind of stuff you read in the Track of the Sun. Sunburst on the title page. He smiled, pleasing himself. What Arthur Griffith said about the headpiece over the Freeman leader, a home-ruled sun rising up in the northwest from the laneway behind the Bank of Ireland. He prolonged his pleased smile. Ikey touched that. Home-ruled sun rising up in the northwest. He approached Larry O'Rourke's. From the cellar grating floated up the flabby gush of porter. Through the open doorway, the bar squirted out whiffs of ginger, tea dust, biscuit mush. Good house, however. Just the end of the city traffic. For instance, Macaulay's down there, NG as position. Of course, if they ran a tram line along the North Circular Road from the cattle market to the quays, value would go up like a shot. Bald head over the blind. Cute old codger. No use canvassing him for an ad. Still, he knows his own business best. There he is, sure enough, me bold Larry, leaning against the sugar bin in his shirt sleeves, watching the apron curate swab up with mop and bucket. Simon Dedalus takes him off to a tea, with his eyes screwed up. Do you know what I'm going to tell you? What's that, Mr. O'Rourke? Do you know what? The Russians, they'd only be an 8 o'clock breakfast for the Japanese. Stop and say a word about the funeral, perhaps. Sad thing about poor Dignam, Mr. O'Rourke. Turning into Dorset Street, he said freshly in greeting through the doorway, Good day, Mr. O'Rourke. Good day to you. Lovely weather, sir. 'Tis all that. Where do they get the money? Coming up red-headed curates from the County Leitrim, rinsing empties, an old man in the cellar. Then, lo and behold, they blossom out as Adam Finlaters or Dan Tallons. Then think of the competition. General thirst. Good puzzle would be cross Dublin without passing a pub. Save it they can't. Off the drunks, perhaps. Put down 3 and carry 5. What's that? A bob here and there, dribs and drabs. On the wholesale orders, perhaps. Doing a double shuffle with the town travellers. Square with the boss and we'll split the job, see? How much would that tot to off the porter in the month? Say 10 barrels of stuff. Say he got 10% off. Oh, more. 10, 15. He passed St. Joseph's National School. Brats clamour. Windows open. Fresh air helps memory. Or a lilt. A, B, C, D, F, E, G, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. Boys, are they? Yes. Inish Turk, Inish Shark, Inish Boffin, at the jogger fry. Mine, Sleeve Bloom. He halted before Dlugas's window, staring at the hanks of sausages, polonies, black and white. 50 multiplied by. The figures whitened in his mind, unsolved. Displeased, he let them fade. The shiny links packed with forcemeat fed his gaze, and he breathed in tranquilly the lukewarm breath of cooked, spicy pig's blood. A kidney oozed blood gouts on the willow-patterned dish. The last. He stood by the next-door girl at the counter. Would she buy it too? Calling the items from a slip in her hand. Chapped, washing soda, and £1.50 of Denny sausages. His eyes rested on her vigorous hips. Woods, his name is. Wonder what he does. Wife is oldish. New blood. No followers allowed. Strong pair of arms. Whacking a carpet on the clothesline. She does whack it, by George. The way her crooked skirt swings at each whack. The ferret-eyed pork butcher folded the sausage he had snipped off with blotchy fingers, sausage pink. Sound meat there like a stall-fed heifer. He took up a page from the pile of cut sheets. The model farm at Kinnereth on the lakeshore of Tiberias can become ideal winter sanatorium. Moses Montefiore. I thought he was farmhouse, wall round it, blurred cattle cropping. He held the page from him. Interesting. Read it nearer. The blurred cropping cattle. The page rustling. A young white heifer. Those mornings in the cattle market, the beasts lowing in their pens, branded sheep, flop and fall of dung, the breeders in hobnailed boots trudging through the litter, slapping a palm on a ripe-meated hindquarter. There's a prime one. Unpeeled switches in their hands. He held the page aslant patiently, bending his senses and his will, his soft subject gaze at rest. The crooked skirt, swinging whack by whack by whack. The pork butcher snapped 2 sheets from the pile, wrapped up her prime sausages, and made a red grimace. "Now, my miss," he said. She tendered a coin, smiling boldly, holding her thick wrist out. "Thank you, my miss, and 1 shilling 3 change. For you, please." Mr. Bloom pointed quickly, to catch up and walk behind her if she went slowly, behind her moving hams. Pleasant to see first thing in the morning. Hurry up, damn it. Make hay while the sun shines. She stood outside the shop in sunlight and sauntered lazily to the right. He sighed down his nose. They never understand. Soda chapped hands, crusted toenails too. Brown scapulars in tatters defending her both ways. The sting of disregard glowed to weak pleasure within his breast. For another. A constable off duty cuddled her in Eccles Lane. They liked them sizable. Prime sausage. "Oh, please, Mr. Policeman, I'm lost in the wood." 3 please." His hand accepted the moist, tender gland and slid it into a side pocket. Then it fetched up 3 coins from his trousers pocket and laid them on the rubber prickles. They lay, were read quickly, and quickly slid, disc by disc, into the till. "Thank you, sir. Another time." A speck of eager fire from fox eyes thanked him. He withdrew his gaze after an instant. No, better not. Another time. "Good morning," he said, moving away. "Good morning, sir." No sign. Gone. What matter? He walked back along Dorset Street, reading gravely. Agendath's time, Planters' Company, to purchase vast sandy tracts from Turkish government and plant with eucalyptus trees, excellent for shade, fuel, and construction. Orange groves and immense melon fields north of Jaffa. You pay 8 marks and they plant a dunam of land for you with olives, oranges, almonds, or citrons. Olives cheaper. Oranges need artificial irrigation. Every year you get a sending of the crop. Your name entered for life as owner in the Book of the Union. Can pay 10 down and the balance in yearly installments. Bleibtraustrasse 34, Berlin, W15. Nothing doing. Still, an idea behind it. He looked at the cattle, blurred in silver heat. Silvered, powdered olive trees. Quiet long days. Pruning, ripening. Olives are packed in jars, eh? I have a few left from Andrews. Molly spitting them out. Knows the taste of them now. Oranges and tissue paper packed in crates. Citrons, too. Wonder is poor Citron still alive in St. Kevin's Parade, and Mastiansky with the old cither. Pleasant evenings we had then. Molly and Citron's basket chair. Nice to hold. Cool, waxen fruit. Hold in the hand, lifted to the nostrils and smell the perfume, like that heavy, sweet, wild perfume. Always the same, year after year. They fetched high prices too, Moisel told me. Arbutus Place, Pleasant Street. Pleasant old times. Must be without a flaw, he said. Coming all that way, Spain, Gibraltar, Mediterranean, the Levant, crates lined up on the quayside at Jaffa, chaps ticking them off in a book, navvies handling them in soiled dungarees. There's what do you call him out of... How do you... Doesn't see. Chap, you know, just to salute. Bit of a bore. His back is like that Norwegian captain's. Wonder if I'll meet him today. Watering cart. To provoke the rain. On earth as it is in heaven. A cloud began to cover the sun wholly, slowly, wholly, grey, far. No, not like that. A barren land, bare waste, volcanic lake, the Dead Sea, no fish, weedless, sunk deep in the earth. No wind would lift those waves, grey, metal, poisonous, foggy waters. Brimstone, they called it, raining down. The cities of the plain, Sodom, Gomorrah, Edom, all dead names. A dead sea and a dead land, grey and old. Old now. It bore the oldest, the first race. A bent hag crossed from Cassidy's, clutching a naggin bottle by the neck. The oldest people. Wandered far away over all the earth, captivity to captivity, multiplying, dying, being born everywhere. It lay there now. Now it could bear no more. Dead. An old woman's. The grey, sunken cunt of the world. Desolation. Grey horror seared his flesh. Folding the page into his pocket, he turned into Eccles Street, hurrying homeward. Cold oil slid along his veins, chilling his blood. Age crusting him with a salt cloak. Well, I'm here now. Morning mouth, bad images. Got up wrong side of the bed. Must begin again those Sandow's exercises. On the hands, down. Blotchy brown brick houses. Number 80 still unlet. Why is that? Valuation is only 28. Towers, Battersby, North, MacArthur. Parlour windows plastered with bills. Plasters on a sore eye. To smell the gentle smoke of tea. Fume of the pan, sizzling butter. Be near her ample, bed-warmed flesh. Yes. Yes. Quick, warm sunlight came running from Berkeley Road, swiftly, in slim sandals, along the brightening footpath. Run, she runs to meet me, a girl with gold hair on the wind. 2 letters and a card lay on the hall floor. He stopped and gathered them. Mrs. Marion Bloom. His quick heart slowed at once. Bold hand. Mrs. Marion.
Poldy!
Entering the bedroom, he half closed his eyes and walked through warm yellow twilight towards her tousled head.
Who are the letters for?
He looked at them. Mullingar. Millie. A letter for me from Millie, he said carefully, and a card to you and a letter for you. He laid her card and letter on the twill bedspread near the curve of her knees. Do you want the blind up? Letting the blind up by gentle tugs halfway, his backward eyes saw her glance at the letter and tuck it under her pillow. That do? He asked, turning. She was reading the card, propped on her elbow.
She got the things.
He waited till she had laid the card aside and curled herself back slowly with a snug sigh.
Hurry up with that tea. I'm parched.
The kettle is boiling, he said. But he delayed to clear the chair, her striped petticoat, tossed soiled linen, and lifted all in an armful onto the foot of the bed. As he went down the kitchen stairs, she called,
Poldy!
What?
Scald the teapot!
On the boil, sure enough. A plume of steam from the spout. He scalded and rinsed out the teapot and put in 4 full spoons of tea, tilting the kettle then to let water flow in. Having set it to draw, He took off the kettle and crushed the pan flat on the live coals and watched the lump of butter slide and melt. While he unwrapped the kidney, the cat mewed hungrily against him. Give her too much meat, she won't mouse. Say they won't eat pork. Kosher. Here. He let the blood-smeared paper fall to her and dropped the kidney amid the sizzling butter sauce. Pepper. He sprinkled it through his fingers, ringwise, from the chipped egg cup. Then he slit open his letter, glancing down the page and over. Thanks, Newtown, Mr. Coughlin, Lochell Picnic, Young Student, Blazes Boylan's, Seaside Girls. The tea was drawn. He filled his own moustache cup, sham crown derby, smiling. Silly Millie's birthday gift. Only 5 she was then. No, wait, 4. I gave her the amberoid necklace she broke, putting pieces of folded brown paper in the letterbox for her. He smiled, pouring. Oh, Millie Bloom, you are my darling, you are my looking-glass from night to morning. I'd rather have you without a farthing than Katie Keogh with her ass and garden. Poor old Professor Goodwin. Dreadful old case. Still, he was a courteous old chap. Old-fashioned way he used to bow Molly off the platform. And the little mirror in his silk hat. The night Millie brought it into the parlour. Oh, look what I found in Professor Goodwin's hat. All we laughed. Sex breaking out even then. Pert little piece she was. He prodded a fork into the kidney and slapped it over, then fitted the teapot on the tray. Its hump bumped as he took it up. Everything on it? Bread and butter, 4 sugar, spoon, her cream. Yes. He carried it upstairs, his thumb hooked in the teapot handle. Nudging the door open with his knee, he carried the tray in and set it on the chair by the bedhead.
What a time you were!
She set the brasses jingling as she raised herself briskly, an elbow on the pillow. He looked calmly down on her bulk, and between her large, soft bubs, sloping within her nightdress like a she-goat's udder. The warmth of her couch body rose on the air, mingling with the fragrance of the tea she poured. A strip of torn envelope peeped from under the dimpled pillow. In the act of going, he stayed to straighten the bedspread. "Who was the letter from?" he asked. Bold hand. Marion.
Oh, Boylan. He's bringing the programme.
What are you singing?
La Cheetah with J.C. Doyle and Love's Old Sweet Song.
Her full lips, drinking, smiled. Rather stale smell that incense leaves next day, like foul flower water. Would you like the window open a little? She doubled a slice of bread into her mouth, asking,
What time is the funeral?
11, I think, he answered. I didn't see the paper. Following the pointing of her finger, he took up a leg of her soiled drawers from the bed. No? Then a twisted grey garter looped round a stocking, rumpled, shiny sole.
No, that book.
Other stocking, her petticoat.
It must have fell down.
He felt here and there. Volio et non vorrei. Wonder if she pronounces that right, Volio. Not in the bed. Must have slid down. He stooped and lifted the valance. The book, fallen, sprawled against the bulge of the orange-keyed chamber pot.
Show here. I put a mark on it. There's a word I want to ask you.
She swallowed a draught of tea from her cup, held by knot handle, and having wiped her fingers smartly on the blanket, began to search the text with a hairpin till she reached the word. Met him what? He asked.
Here. What does that mean?
He leaned downwards and read near her polished thumbnail, Metempsychosis.
Yes. Who's he when he's at home?
Metempsychosis, he said, frowning. It's Greek, from the Greek. That means the transmigration of souls.
Oh, rocks, tell us in plain words.
He smiled, glancing askance at her mocking eye. The same young eyes. The first night after the charades. Dolphin's Barn. He turned over the smudged pages. Ruby, the pride of the ring. Hello. Illustration. Fierce Italian with carriage whip. Must be Ruby pride of on the floor naked. Sheet kindly lent. The monster Maffei desisted and flung his victim from him with an oath. Cruelty behind it all. Doped animals. Trapeze at Hengler's. Had to look the other way. Mob gaping. Break your neck and we break our sides. Families of them. Bone them young so they metempsychosis. That we live after death, our souls, that a man's soul, after he dies. Dignam's soul. "Did you finish it?" he asked.
Yes. There's nothing smutty in it. Is she in love with the first fellow all the time?
"Never read it. Do you want another?"
Yes. Get another of Paul de Kock's. Nice name he has.
She poured more tea into her cup, watching its flow sideways. "Must get that Capel Street library book renewed, or they'll write to Kearney, my guarantor." Reincarnation. That's the word. "Some people believe," he said, "that we go on living in another body after death, that we live before. They call it reincarnation. That we all lived before on the earth thousands of years ago or some other planet. They say we've forgotten it. Some say they remember their past lives." The sluggish cream wound curdling spirals through her tea. Better reminder of the word, metempsychosis. An example would be better. An example. The bath of the nymph over the bed. Given away with the Easter number of photo bits. Splendid masterpiece in art colours. Tea before you put milk in. Not unlike her, with her hair down. Slimmer. 3 and 6 I gave for the frame. She said it would look nice over the bed. Naked nymphs. Greece. And, for instance, all the people that lived then. He turned the pages back. "Metempsychosis," he said, "is what the ancient Greeks called it. They used to believe you could be changed into an animal, or a tree, for instance, what they called nymphs, for example." Her spoon ceased to stir up the sugar. She gazed straight before her, inhaling through her arched nostrils.
There's a smell of burn. Did you leave anything on the fire?
"The kidney!" he cried suddenly. He fitted the book roughly into his inner pocket and, stubbing his toes against the broken commode, hurried out towards the smell, stepping hastily down the stairs with a flurried stork's legs. Pungent smoke shot up in an angry jet from a side of the pan. By prodding a prong of the fork under the kidney, he detached it and turned it turtle on his back. Only a little burned. He tossed it off the pan onto a plate and let the scanty brown gravy trickle over it. Cup of tea now. He sat down, cut and buttered a slice of the loaf. He shore away the burnt flesh and flung it to the cat. Then he put a forkful into his mouth, chewing with discernment the toothsome, pliant meat. Done to a turn. Mouthful of tea. Then he cut away dies of bread, sopped one in the gravy, and put it in his mouth. What was that about some young student and a picnic? He creased out the letter at his side, reading it slowly as he chewed, sopping another die of bread in the gravy, and raising it to his mouth. "Dearest Papley, thanks ever so much for the lovely birthday present. It suits me splendid. Everyone says I'm quite the belle in my new tam. I got Mummy's lovely box of creams, and am writing. They are lovely. I am getting on swimming in the photo business now. Mr. Coughlin took one of me and Mrs. Will send when developed. We did great biz yesterday. Fair day and all the beef to the heels were in. We're going to Loch Owl on Monday with a few friends to make a scrap picnic. Give my love to Mummy and to yourself a big kiss and thanks. I hear them at the piano downstairs. There's to be a concert in the Greville Arms on Saturday. There is a young student comes here some evenings named Bannon. His cousins or something are big swells. He sings Boylan's I was on the Popper writing Blazes Boylan's song about those seaside girls. Tell him Silly Millie sends my best respects. Must now close with fondest love, your fond daughter Millie. P.S. Excuse bad writing. Am in hurry. Bye-bye. M. 15 yesterday. Curious. 15th of the month too. Her first birthday away from home. Separation. Remember the summer morning she was born, running to knock up Mrs. Thornton in Denzil Street. Jolly old woman. Lots of babies she must have helped into the world. She knew from the first poor little Rudy wouldn't live. Well, God is good, sir. She knew at once. He would be 11 now, if he'd lived. His vacant face stared pitying at the postscript. Excuse bad writing. Hurry, piano downstairs. Coming out of her shell. Row with her in the XL cafe about the bracelet. Wouldn't eat her cakes or speak or look. Saucebox. He supped other dies of bread in the gravy and ate piece after piece of kidney. 12 and 6 a week? Not much still. She might do worse. Music hall stage, young student. He drank a draught of cooler tea to wash down his meal. Then he read the letter again. Twice. Oh, well, she knows how to mind herself. But if not? No, Nothing has happened. Of course it might. Wait in any case till it does. A wild piece of goods, her slim legs running up the staircase. Destiny, ripening now. Vain. Very. He smiled with troubled affection at the kitchen window. Day I caught her in the street, pinching her cheeks to make them red. Anemic a little. Was given milk too long. On the errands king that day, round the kish. Damned old tub pitching about, not a bit funky. Her pale blue scarf loose in the wind with her hair. All dimpled cheeks and curls, your head it simply swirls. Seaside girls. Torn envelope. Hand stuck in his trousers pocket, Jarvey off for the day, singing. Friend of the family. Swirls, he says. Pier with lamps, summer evening band. Those girls, those lovely seaside girls. Millie too. Young kisses. The first. Far away now, past. Mrs. Marion. Reading, lying back now, counting the strands of her hair. Smiling, braiding. A soft qualm, regret, flowed down his backbone, increasing. Will happen, yes. Prevent, useless. Can't move. Girl's sweet, light lips. Will happen, too. He felt the flowing qualm spread over him. Useless to move now. Lips kissed, kissing, kissed. Full, gluey, woman's lips. Better where she is down there, away. Occupy her. Wanted a dog to pass the time. Might take a trip down there, August bank holiday. Only 2 and 6 return. 6 weeks off, however. Might work a press pass, or through McCoy. The cat, having cleaned all her fur, returned to the meat-stained paper, nosed at it, and stalked to the door. She looked back at him, mewing. Wants to go out. Wait before a door, sometime it will open. Let her wait. Has the fidgets. Electric. Thunder in the air. Was washing at her ear with her back to the fire, too. He felt heavy, full, then a gentle loosening of his bowels. He stood up, undoing the waistband of his trousers. The cat mewed to him. Meow, he said in answer. Wait till I'm ready. Heaviness. Hot day coming. Too much trouble to fag up the stairs to the landing. A paper. He liked to read at stool. Hope no ape comes knocking just as I'm... In the table drawer, he found an old number of Titbits. He folded it under his armpit, went to the door, and opened it. The cat went up in soft bounds. Ah, wanted to go upstairs, curl up in a ball on the bed. Listening, he heard her voice.
Come, come, pussy, come.
He went out through the back door into the garden, stood to listen towards the next garden. No sound. Perhaps hanging clothes out to dry. The maid was in the garden. Fine morning. He bent down to regard a lean file of spearmint growing by the wall. Make a summer house here. Scarlet runners, Virginia creepers. Want to manure the whole place over. Scabby soil. A coat of liver of sulphur. All soil like that, without dung. Household slops, loam. What is this that is? The hens in the next garden. Their droppings are very good top dressing. Best of all, though, at the cattle, especially when they are fed on those oil cakes. Mulch of dung. Best thing to clean ladies' kid loves. Dirty cleans. Ashes, too. Reclaim the whole place. Grow peas in that corner there. Lettuce. Always have fresh greens then. Still, gardens have their drawbacks. That be your blue bottle here, Whit Monday. He walked on. Where is my hat, by the way? Must have put it back on the peg, or hanging up on the floor. Funny, I don't remember that. Hall stand too full, 4 umbrellas, her rain cloak, picking up the letters. Drago's shop bell ringing. Queer, I was just thinking that moment. Brown, brilliantine hair over his collar. Just had a wash and brush up. Wonder if I had time for a bath this morning. Tara Street. Chap in the pay box there got away James Stevens, they say. O'Brien. Deep voice that fellow Lucas has. Agendar, what is it? Now, my miss. Enthusiast. He kicked open the crazy door of the Jacks. Better be careful not to get these trousers dirty for the funeral. He went in, bowing his head under the low lintel. Leaving the door ajar amid the stench of mouldy lime-wash and stale cobwebs, he undid his braces. Before sitting down, he peered through a chink up at the next-door window. The king was in his counting-house. Nobody. Asquat on the cockstool, he folded out his paper, turning his pages over on his bared knees. Something new and easy. No great hurry. Keep it a bit. Our prized titbit. Macham's masterstroke, written by Mr. Philip Beaufoy, Playgoers Club, London. Payment at the rate of £1 a column has been made to the writer. 3.5, £3.3, £3.13 6. Quietly he read, restraining himself, the first column, and yielding, but resisting, began the second. Midway, his last resistance yielding, he allowed his bowels to ease themselves quietly as he read, reading still patiently, that slight constipation of yesterday quite gone. Hope it's not too big, bring on piles again. No, just right. So, cost of 1 tablet of Cascara Sagrada. Life might be so. It did not move or touch him, but it was something quick and neat. Print anything now. Silly season. He read on, seated calm above his own rising smell. Neat, certainly. Macham often thinks of the masterstroke by which he won the laughing witch who now begins and ends morally, hand in hand. Smart. He glanced back through what he had read, and while feeling his water flow quietly, he envied kindly Mr. Beaufoy, who had written it and received payment of £3.13 6. Might manage a sketch by Mr. and Mrs. L.M. Bloom. Invent a story for some proverb, which Tommy used to try jotting down on my cuff what she said dressing. Dislike dressing together. Nicked myself shaving. Biting her nether lip, hooking the placket of her skirt. Timing her, 9:15. Did Roberts pay her yet? 9:20. What had Greta Conroy on? 9:23. What possessed me to buy this comb? 9:24. I'm swelled after that cabbage. A speck of dust on the patent leather of her boot. Rubbing smartly in turn each welt against her stocking calf. Morning after the bazaar dance, when May's band played Ponchielli's Dance of the Hours. Explain that morning hours, noon, then evening coming on, then night hours. Washing her teeth. That was the first night. Her head dancing, her fan sticks clicking. Is that boiling well off? He has money. Why? I noticed he had a good smell off his breath dancing. No use humming then. Allude to it. Strange kind of music that last night. The mirror was in shadow. She rubbed her hand-glass briskly on her woolen vest against her full, wagging bub, peering into it. Lines in her eyes. It wouldn't pan out somehow. Evening hours, girls in grey gauze. Night hours, then black with daggers and eye masks. Poetical idea. Pink, then golden, then grey, then black. Still, true to life also. Day, then the night. He tore away half the prize story sharply and wiped himself with it. Then he girded up his trousers, braced and buttoned himself. He pulled back the jerky, shaky door of the jacks and came forth from the gloom into the air. In the bright light, lightened and cooled in limb, he eyed carefully his black trousers, the ends, the knees, the hocks of the knees. What time is the funeral? Better find out in the paper. A creak and a dark whir in the air high up. The bells of George's church. They tolled the hour, loud, dark, iron. Hey-ho, 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 hey-ho. 2:45. There again, the overtone following through the air. 3rd. Poor Dignam.